Hi everybody, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to change the front brake pads and brake fluid on a Kawasaki Z1000SX.
Shut up and sit down.
Because we're working with brake fluid, and in case I spill any, which I hope I don't, it is damaging to paintwork, so you should have a container of water on standby, because that's the best way. If you ever spill any brake fluid on a painted surface, put some water on it straight away and that will neutralise it. So I've just put some towels over the tank and round the brake reservoir. So the first job that we're going to do is just undo this screw that holds this clip to secure the cap. Then we can unscrew the lid, and then there'll be it should be like a rubber, that's it. It's a good idea to get yourself like a little syringe like that, because number one, we want to suck out some of the brake fluid to take the level down, because we're going to be pushing the pistons back, which will make the level rise. And number two, because I'm going to be changing the brake fluid, I want to suck out some of this old dirty fluid. So let's just suck some of that out. As you can see, I've put a towel around the wheel because it's quite close to the rim, so I just like to protect it. And then all you need to do is just, you might just have to wiggle the caliper slightly just to squeeze the pistons back a little bit. And then the caliper, and you just got to angle it around and it's off. Now we've got the caliper off, just hold it, support it. You don't really want to let it hang on the hose if you can help it. So now we can just take these out by hand. There will be a bit of tension there because there's a little shim that sits behind the pads. I'll show you that in a minute. Like that, and then we can just slip the pads out. Now, having got the brake pads out, we can have a good look at our pistons, give them a good clean, make sure they're free. So that's what I'm going to do first. So just to check that they're free, you can normally push them back just by using your fingers, just to see if they'll move. You might find that as you push one, the opposing one will come out, but then you can use two fingers to hold them. And they're moving. I'm just going to pump the lever just to see. You can see that they're moving, and we'll just check. I'll hold three with if they're all moving. So before I push them back in, I'm just going to give them a clean. So to clean these pistons, all I'm going to do is just give them a gentle little spray with some brake cleaner, and then I've got an old toothbrush, and I'm just going to go round. I mean, obviously depending on how dirty they are, it will depend how much you have to clean them. I actually take mine off quite often, especially if I've been riding through rain and mud and bad weather. Not that I like to ride through that sort of weather, but you want to be doing this at least once a year really, cleaning your brake calipers and your pistons, sorry. You can see with not a lot of effort, it can be fiddly to get round the back, but it's worth the effort to do this, to be honest with you. You can see they're clean, so now I'm just going to push these in. So just, there we go. You just have to kind of use your brute force. And then hold one piston and push the other. See, they've all now gone back in. Now we can get this clip out because it's a good opportunity to give this a clean. So let's just give that a quick spray off. And you'll see this clip will only fit one way because there's actually a greater angle, or a lesser angle, sorry, there than there is there. It will only fit one way, and you'll know if you've got it right or wrong because it'll either drop in really easily or you'll think, oh, it doesn't fit. See, like there, that fits nice and easy. But if I try and turn that around, it's a little fiddly. It doesn't sit in there very well. So if it's like that, you've definitely got it wrong. So you'll know when it's right because it will just fall in like that. Now we're ready to fit the new brake pads. You can see on the back edge of this pad there's two ears with two holes. Those ears are going to locate on the back of that spring clip. So you can just slide them into the caliper. Don't forget to clean your pins. I just used a bit of 240 sort of emery cloth just to clean off all the crap. So as you put your pin in, just make sure that it does locate through the brake pads, but you'll soon know if it's not right. You might just have to jiggle it around and push the pad backwards with your finger to push against the resistance to that spring clip. We're going to tighten these up fully when the caliper's back fitted on the bike. And again, I'll just try and show you. In fact, I haven't quite got that one in right, but you're just going to push the pad back like that, just so you can. It's quite hard to film, but yeah, like that. And again on that one. So just to show you when the pads are located correctly, you can just kind of see that the pin's gone through the holes, and those ears that I was talking about are resting against the spring clip. Now we're ready to refit the brake caliper. As you can see, there's two dowels that locate the brake caliper. So you just make sure you've got a nice wide gap on your pads, and then just slip it over the brake disc. Like that. And then you can just see, not that you can really get it wrong, but that just slides on like that. Now these bolts, I always put a bit of copper ease just on, not on the thread, just on the shank of the bolt, just so that there's no chance that they can seize in. Now we're ready to torque these two bolts up. 34 Newton meters, so which isn't a lot, but could be deadly if you forget to do it. Then we can just tighten up, and this is important as well, don't forget to tighten your brake pad pins. These are supposed to be 15 Newton meters. You don't want to go too mad with them because you'll either strip them out or do them so tight you'll never get them undone again. So I do these by feel, but if you're not sure, get a torque wrench. And then lastly, what we need to do is just pump the brake lever just to bring the pads back out to the brake disc. And you'll know when it's done because it will go hard. Sucked out the old fluid and filled with fresh new fluid, and I'll just show you the difference. See, there's a bit of a colour difference there. I think it was well past its change date. Now we need to keep an eye on this brake fluid reservoir as we're bleeding, because you don't want it to run too low, else you'll introduce air in the system. Now we're ready to bleed at the master cylinder first. So what we're going to do is we're going to just pump the lever a few times and hold it, and then we're going to crack the nipple off. Now you will find you might get a bit of fluid coming out around the bottom of the bleed nipple, so try not to undo it too much. Have your water on standby and do what I've done, wrap some rag around it. So I'm just going to crack that off, there you go. And then I'll just do that, I'll probably do it 3 times I think. So just hold the pressure on, open the nipple, let it go all the way to the handlebars, crack the nipple back up. I've still got the lever, so that's good. I'm just going to do it one more time. Yeah, there's no air coming out of there. Now we're ready to bleed at the brake caliper, so I'm just going to pop this rubber cap off, like so. 10mm spanner is ring spanner needed for the bleed nipple. I've changed the end of my bleed pipe. You're going to need something that's quite tight fitting, otherwise you're going to find the pressure will push the pipe off. So stick that over the end, make sure it's a nice tight fit. And it's going to be the same procedure as we were doing a minute ago for bleeding out the master cylinder. So we're going to pump the lever up hard and hold the pressure on, slacken the bleed nipple off, and you'll see the fluid come out, and then lock it off. And then do the same again, do it 2 or 3 times maybe. Just make sure that you're going to flush all the fluid out until you've got no air as well. And remember to keep an eye on the brake fluid reservoir, because you don't want that to run out. And you see there's no air coming out there. I'm going to do it once more, like so. Having bled your front brake, just make sure that you've got a good lever and your bleed nipples are tight. Just show you the 3 parts to the top of the reservoir. There's this rubber membrane, so that just goes in first. That's obviously what seals the fluid from coming out. There's a plastic ring, as you can see it's got a ridge on one side, so the ridge goes downwards. And then we can pop the cap on, and then we can just pop the clip in. And that's got there's a little hole in the bottom of this clip, and there's a little hole on the bottom of the master cylinder reservoir. So that just locates that in the right place. And then we can just do that up with a screwdriver. Doesn't need to be that tight, obviously it does need to be tight, but not mad tight. So just nip that up. Okay, we're ready to do the fluid change on the rear brake. So similar to the front, there's a clip that just secures the reservoir in case it would come undone. So we'll just take that screw out there and just remove the little clip, unscrew the cap, and there'll be a plastic retaining ring in here and a rubber sort of membrane. Just be very careful. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a bit of rag around there just in case I spill any brake fluid. I'm going to get my syringe and just suck out the old brake fluid. So as with the front brakes, I've emptied the reservoir, filled with clean fresh fluid. I've got my 10mm spanner on the bleed nipple, my pipe ready. So same procedure, we're just going to pump the brake pedal up till it's hard, and then undo the nipple. Oh, look at the colour of that brake fluid. Make sure the pedal goes all the way to the floor, or all the way down, sorry, and then lock it off. And we'll just do that a few times until we get nice clean fluid coming through. All the time keeping an eye on your reservoir, because you don't want that to run empty, else you're just going to get air back in the system. And then just lock it off. So after you finish bleeding, just make sure that your bleed nipple and your caliper is tight and that you have a decent pedal and that the brake actually works. If you haven't, if it was spongy, you've probably still got a bit of air in there. I'm just going to show you how the 3 component parts of the top of the reservoir go back together. Obviously make sure that you've topped your level up to the upper level. You've got this rubber membrane that goes in first, like that. There's then a plastic ring, and as you can see, it's quite obvious, it'll only go in one way, like that. And then your cap. So just do it up, and then we can pop the clip back on. There we go. Right, that concludes the brake fluid change and front brake pad renewal on the bike. I haven't covered taking the back caliper off. If you check out my chain video, you'll see in there somewhere how to remove the rear brake caliper. I hope somebody finds this video useful. As usual, thank you for watching. Stay safe and keep it rubber side down.